Hi everyone, I'm Chef Carpenter, and today we're going to make chocolate mousse. And behind the camera we have Chef Paradiso. So to start with today, let's look at the ingredients. Here we have 9 ounces of a 60% chocolate couverture. We have 2 ounces of butter. We have 14 ounces of cream with a pinch of vanilla powder in it, 4 ounces of egg yolks, 1 ounce of egg, and then over here we have 3 ounces of sugar with a little pinch of salt in it, and 1.5 ounces of water. And along with making the chocolate mousse today, we're going to make a pate bombe will be the base for our mousse. So that's something that you may use in quite a few other things, like in still set ice creams, like a soufflé glacé. You can use it in batters, in different fillings. Tiramisu, we make a pate bombe when we make it. Okay, so to start with, we're going to melt the chocolate with the butter. We have a double boiler on, and this double boiler is just under a simmer. We don't want it to be too hot or we'll burn the chocolate. So we'll melt these two together. So I have the water set at 190 degrees. You don't want to just put it on and then walk away. You want to be careful of, over 130 degrees, you really damage the chocolate. So be very careful at this part.
Chef, what was the percentage of chocolate?
This is 60% chocolate, and that means that the total amount of cocoa in it, or cacao solids, are 60%. So that includes cocoa butter and the cocoa powder.
Do you have to, if you wanted to do a milk chocolate, is there a different ratio of ingredients?
Yes, very good. As you go to milk chocolate and then to white chocolate, they have a weaker setting strength. So you would have to increase the amount of chocolate to get it to set the same. Dark chocolate will set up pretty firm, so this can be used as a cake filling. And also you can make maybe a parfait, pipe it in a glass. You can mold it in silicone molds for individual desserts.
And Chef, and do you, the more liqueur, the less the sugar, the more bitter it is that correct?
Yes, so great question, Chef Paradiso. The remaining number of that percentage to equal 100% in dark chocolate would be sugar. Now it's a little different in the milk and white chocolate. In white chocolate, the total cocoa, what you see on that percentage, is going to be cocoa butter in white chocolate. The remaining will be sugar, some milk solids. Sometimes you'll find lecithin in there as an emulsifier. And then if you take that white chocolate and you add a small amount of cocoa powder, then you would get milk chocolate. So this is just about melted here. We're going to just finish stirring, and then we'll set it aside. I don't want it to get it too warm, but when we put everything together, we'll check the temperature, and if we think that it's a little too cool, we'll warm it up slightly so that it doesn't seize when we're folding it together. Okay, so at that point, I'm going to shut the stove off, and we're just going to go ahead and set this aside for now. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to whip the cream. So I've got the cream with just a little bit of vanilla powder, and we're going to go ahead and put it in the mixer. And the mixer is fit with a whisk attachment. Okay, so while that's whipping, we're going to get that to a soft peak. We don't want to make it too stiff, because when we fold it together, you'll end up overworking the cream and there may be some separation. So the next thing we're going to do while that's whipping is the egg yolks and the eggs. We'll put it in this bowl here. And this part will be the pate bombe. So I've got the egg yolks and the eggs in there. And now we want to watch this cream carefully. I would like to, the quicker you can whip it, the better, because the longer it's out in the air as it warms up, it's less stable. So we'll get that whipped up really fast, and then we'll move on to the next.
Chef, is there any advantage of refrigerating or freezing your bowl, your mixing bowl, before mixing with cream?
Yes, if all your equipment, the bowl, the cream, the colder it is, the better volume, the more stable it will be. So it's always a good idea to have everything cold. So when this is done whipping, I'm gonna have an ice bath off to the side, and I'm just gonna set it in the ice. So it's just about there. It's a very soft peak. We're gonna get it a little bit thicker than this. I'm going to stop right there. So here we have a nice soft peak. We'll set that in the ice. So now the next thing we want to do is we're going to make the Pate Bombe, which what it's going to be, it's going to cook the eggs, and it's also sweeten it, cook it, and we're going to add a bunch of air into it, so we'll have a more volume. So what I'm going to do is put that on the mixer. And we're going to let that mix for a while. We're not too concerned about over mixing it there, so we'll just let that go. And then meanwhile, over here, I'm going to switch pots. And now we want to make a soft wall sugar. So we're going to cook it between 238 and 240 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first thing, and it's very simple, I just have sugar and water. So I'm going to put the water in the pan. And now I'm very carefully going to add the sugar right down in the center, and be careful not to get any on the sides. So the sugar is dissolved. I have here a brush and some cold water, but I'm only going to use it if I have to. Right now there's no sugar at all on the sides. And we're going to go ahead and heat that up, and we're going to check it with an infrared, a non-contact thermometer today. So right now, if we were to check it, the syrup is at 60 degrees. We're going to bring it up to around 238 Fahrenheit.
So, Chef, when you do the sugar, is it better to use a bottled water where it's already been filtered, or did you use filtered water, or just straight tap water?
Yeah, things like that could really help prevent crystallization. If you have purified water, if your sugar, when we have to make large batches of this, we'll open a fresh bag of sugar as well. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my ice bath over here. It's such a small batch, so there's very little sugar here. With this heavy bottom pot, it'll tend to overshoot the temperature that we want to reach. So we're going to watch this very carefully, and we'll catch it right around 238 and hit the ice bath just to stop the cooking. We don't want to chill it. We're just going to give it a quick shock. So over here on the mixer, you can see that the eggs are getting foamed up now. We'll lower the speed when we add the sugar syrup to it. So the sugar syrup's going to go very fast now. You can see it's at a boil, and at this altitude it boils around maybe 195. So it's already up, it's already over 200 degrees. So we're going to watch that very carefully so we don't overshoot it.
And what temperature are we going for the sugar, Chef?
We're going to go for 238 because it's going to be very difficult to control this small amount in that pot. So we'll get to 238. By the time we go to here to shock it, we'll probably hit 240 and stop it right there. So I turned the mixer down. I'm going to click it down one more because a very important step is to add the sugar without splashing it all around the bowl. So we'll be careful. We're just going to hook the pot there, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So we'll check the temperature again. We're up to 217 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now, Chef, you mentioned about the sides. Are the sides looking good, or do we have to?
Yeah, the sides are very clean right now. You can see where there's some splashing from the bubbles, but there's no undissolved crystals of sugar. So we should have no problem with crystallization. Now it's rapidly rising, the temperature right now, so we want to be careful. We're up to 235. So we're going to keep an eye on it. Okay, we're up to 238. We're going to go like that just to stop the cooking, not to chill it. And now we wipe the bowl. And now we want that syrup to run down the mixing bowl and not hit the whisk. So you need to hook the pan right on the edge. And then we just add this nice and slowly. Okay, so while that's whipping, I'm getting everything else together to finish this. We'll want to check the temperature. We're going to look for the ribbon stage. Now the ribbon stage, when it thickens, when it gets set, we'll take the whisk and we'll lift up some of the batter and move it across, and it should stay in lines. It shouldn't just sink back in. So we'll know when it's at the ribbon stage by testing it that way. And I'll show you in just a moment. Meanwhile, I also put the chocolate back on the stove to make sure it's warm when we combine everything. Okay, it's continuing to thicken. We've probably got another 3 or 4 minutes until that gets until it gets to the ribbon stage.
So, Chef, will you see lines at the ribbon stage? Will you start seeing lines in the egg mixture?
Yeah, we should see that soon. It'll get a little lighter in color, and then you'll notice when that whisk goes around, you'll see that how it's thickened, and it'll draw lines as the whisk goes through it. And that's really important that we get it that thick, because you know, that's one thing that we sell in the pastry shop. We sell a lot of air. We whip air into the cream. We're whipping air into the yolks. That's our profit. So if you do not get it to the right point, you don't get the air in there and get it nice and stable, you'll be wasting money. So it's very important, and it's something that's airy and light, like a mousse. It's very nice on your palate. If your mousse has no air in it, it would not have the same mouthfeel.
So, Chef, you're warming your chocolate, and you do have cold whipped cream. Is it will it break at all, or is it?
Yes, Chef Mike, that's a really good point. If I was to take the chocolate and fold it into the cream, it would harden into chocolate chips throughout the thing. You'd have lots of pieces of chocolate. But we're going to take the Pate Bombe that's going to be right about room temperature, and we'll first fold that into the chocolate and lighten up the chocolate. And then in the case if anything goes wrong and you had to warm it slightly, you would be able to. But once we add the cream, we can't warm it at all, because the butterfat will separate from the water, the moisture in there, and you'll have a very grainy product. So we're right there about at the ribbon stage now, and we can see that the lines are starting to stay as it comes around. So in another 30 seconds, we'll take it off, and then I'll demonstrate that. And that is the Pate Bombe. Once that's whipped up, we have the full volume. You could take fold cream into that, fold different flavors, nuts into it, and freeze it, and make an ice cream that you would mold, called a glacé. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and check this. And now for the ribbon stage, you'll see as we put that over the top, you can see those lines in there. So it's quite thick now. We're gonna go ahead and take it just like this. Now we have our warm chocolate over here. So those are our three components that we have left. So with that chocolate, I'm gonna just dry that bowl and the table and then feel it. It's warm to the touch. And the Pate Bombe, if you were to touch that bowl, it's right at room temperature, and our cream is cold. So the first step we're gonna do is we're going to take a bit of the Pate Bombe and add it to the chocolate. If we dump it all in at one time, it won't blend easily. So here we go, I'm gonna take about a third of this, and we'll start to fold that in. You really need to take your time at this point. If you rush it and just dump everything together, it won't turn out smooth. This is actually softening up the chocolate. And it's helpful to rotate the bowl as you do this, and then check the bottom, make sure it's nice and smooth. At this point, I'm more concerned about softening the chocolate than the volume here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put 1/3 more. And now carefully fold that. And now we'll have less issues with the chocolate seizing up on us. Seizing is when chocolate and moisture is mixed together, it wants to harden. So now we'll go ahead and put the rest of the Pate Bombe in there. And now we'll gently fold it. And again, don't forget to rotate the bowl and turn it over. You want to scrape the bottom. Make sure you come across every part of the bowl there. Okay, at this point, I don't want to overfold it. I want to maintain that volume. So I have it folded enough. I'm going to start with the cream now. Now the cream is very cold, so it's going to shock it. You want to be careful. I don't want to just dump it in at one time. So I'm going to put that in 2 parts as well. So remember, check every bit of the bottom of that bowl and rotate it so you don't miss any areas. Now I don't want to overfold it here. I don't have any more issue with the seizing, so I'm going to put the rest of the cream in and fold it in so I don't overwork it.
Chef, if you wanted to add raspberry to this, say a compound, at what stage would you add the raspberry?
I would add it when I folded the Pate Bombe and the chocolate together. That would be a good time because you wouldn't be worrying about it. Wouldn't want to add it too late to where you would start to lose a lot of volume. So I think that would be a good time to do it. You can also whip that compound right in the cream and then chill it. And again, you wouldn't have any loss of volume. So we're just gonna continue to fold it until everything is mixed together. Remember, we're gonna move that bowl around, and I'm checking the bottom. And you can see it's very smooth. There's no separation of the moisture in the cream. And that's it. You're much better off not over folding it. So I'm going to stop right there. So that's your basic chocolate mousse, French style, done with a Pate Bombe. There's many other ways to do it. You could make it with the whipped cream and a meringue, but this will have a much richer flavor with the Pate Bombe. All right, well, thank you for spending this time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And thank you, Chef Paradiso. Have a nice day.
Good job, chef.